There's no lock on the cage. You can open up the door, go outside, do whatever you want. When I was 19, I was quite certain that all I wanted to do with my life was make and play video games, and it wasn't quite as fulfilling as at 26 as I thought it was at 19. I just realized I didn't want to spend 12 hours a day staring at a computer screen and getting fat, getting pale skin, and so I quit my job and decided to take the money that I'd saved up for a few years and spend it on a trip around the world. So I spent 6 months traveling, went to about 16 or 17 different countries. The hardest thing for me about travel was deciding to do it and deciding to take the leap and leave my comfort zone and go and do something that I didn't really know how to do, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't have the safety net that I was used to. It's making that decision. Once you do it, you find out that the world really isn't as dangerous as it's made out to be. It's a lot safer, it's a lot cheaper than you might think. Hope I don't offend anyone here. Deodorant is not a very popular thing in Africa, so the smell inside the bus was so unbelievably unbearable. I actually paid the woman sitting next to me, who had the window seat, $5 to let me switch seats with her so I could stick my head out the window and breathe the fresh outside air. This was not a career plan when I started dancing badly and filming myself. I didn't actually want to go to college. I just didn't know what else there was that I could do. I finished high school, worked at a video game store for a couple of years. That turned into a video game magazine job where I was getting to travel a lot and get to know more about the game industry. And then at 19, I left that job and switched to a job designing video games for a company called Activision in Los Angeles. I was traveling with a former coworker of mine, and I had always done this really bad dance. I used to hover over his desk when it was time to go to lunch, and just to annoy him and say, "Come on, it's time to go to lunch," I'd just dance in front of him for a little while. And we were in Hanoi, and he said, "Hey, why don't you go and do that stupid dance you used to do, and I will record it." So we did that. I stood in front of some motorbikes in Hanoi and did the dance, and it turned out really funny. So I decided to keep on doing it everywhere else I went on that trip. In January 2005, I put the video up on my site. Somebody was emailing me, and he noticed my email address, wherethehellismatt.com, at the end of my email address. Went to my site, found the video, said, "Oh, this is really funny," and he showed it to a couple of his friends. Those friends put it on their blogs, and then it went from those blogs. Other people who have blogs saw their blogs, and they put it on their blogs, and then it went from one blog to another blog to another blog to another blog, and then it got on these video aggregator sites. This was a whole year and a half ago, before YouTube even existed, and it ended up through that getting a couple million downloads, and then it just started snowballing, and people kept emailing it around to other people, and news shows started calling me, talk shows started calling me. It was just that whole thing. The company contacted me, Stride Gum. They had this new gum coming out June of the following year, and they want to know if I'd be interested in taking another trip, making another video for them. And I said, "Well, are you going to be paying for it?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Then that sounds great." So we put that together, and I left in December for a 6-month trip around the world. And this time, money was not an obstacle so much as time. I had to get it done by June, but I could really go anywhere on the planet that I wanted to go within that time period. So I went sick and I went to the map store and got the biggest National Geographic map of the world that they had, and some markers, and just started drawing lines all over the place. And it was 76 flights, and it was 100,000 miles in 6 months. I went to an island in a country called Micronesia, the island of Chuuk. And in World War II, 60 Japanese battleships various ships were sunk in the harbor around Chuuk Island by U.S. bombers. And you can go and you can dive in these ships, and you're going through the hallways, you're going into the bunks and the mess halls and the bathrooms. They have the fighter planes that they were flying are still in there. You can actually sit in the cockpits of these planes, and there are fish and there are sharks swimming around and coral everywhere. And there are human remains of all the people who died in these ships. It is extremely haunting. Antarctica is one that I go back to a lot in my head because it really was like going to another planet. It took us 3 days to get there, and it was just such an unbelievably remote, unusual environment that was filled with life. It was not the dead wasteland that you might think, at least along the coastline. There are penguins everywhere, there are whales, there are seals, there's all kinds of amazing things going on. When I started dancing, almost instantly, the kids who were standing nearby, they just watched me and they went, "Ah, it looks like fun, I'm going to do that too." And so pretty soon there were 5 or 6 kids standing around dancing. And then all these other kids saw that happening and they thought, "Oh, I want to do that too." And so they started flooding in from all directions, and we did it for really only 5 or 10 minutes, and by the end there was every kid in the town standing there. It was a really amazing moment where there was just this immediate access to joy. The great thing about international travel, particularly in places like Southeast Asia, a lot of Africa, Eastern Europe, South America, there are a lot of places you can go where you're spending less day to day than you might spend at home, paying rent, paying utilities, paying for cable, car insurance, things like that. It adds up, and when you're traveling and you cut all those expenses for a while, you can really see a lot of stuff, a lot of amazing things for not a lot of money. You know, the trip didn't cost an insane amount of money, but I don't like to get into too much of how much it costs because it seems like kind of bad manners to me to talk about that stuff. I really don't like working. I'm not very good at it generally. It took me a long time to figure out that I wasn't very good at designing video games, and that I should try and figure out something that I was good at. I'm still not sure what I am good at, but I do know that I don't like showing up at an office every day at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, or more realistically, noon, 1 o'clock. I'm very good at loafing around and very good at playing video games and surfing the web and watching Netflix. And if I was to give myself a job title, it would be itinerant deadbeat.
Sorry. Itinerant deadbeat?
Yeah, or just deadbeat if itinerant's too fancy. I've managed to find a thing to do that is a combination of a lot of different things that I'm really passionate about. Sometimes other people limit our options for us. Sometimes we limit our options, and we create the boundaries for our existence and say, you know, I can only do this. This is what I'm cut out for. This is the job that I'm doing. This is what I can do. And I think it's really important. It's a major shift when you realize that you're the one who's creating those boundaries and you have control over that.